What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the TeN 7 MMA Podcast or show or whatever. Me and Justin are both eating our lunch. It is what it is.
That's right.
It is what it is. But wow, what a weekend of fights. I've been dying to talk to you about this. I've been watching everything. So many things have been going on, and we're going to talk about Sean Brady in a little bit, but I just heard his interview with Ariel Helwani on the MMA Hour that just happened today, a couple hours ago. And it just constantly reminds me it just always gives me so much courage and basically inner strength when I listen to these fighter interviews after the fact in terms of like what I'm going through in my life. And, one thing he said, right? I always like to compare and contrast the trials and tribulations of fighters to the trials and tribulations of being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, and whatever. And look, there's a lot of things on the horizon, a lot of uncertainties in the job market in the world as AI continues to grow. And it does make me panic. And I think a lot of business owners panic as well, because we don't know what 5 years from now is going to look like. It's going to be so different. It's super scary. But one of them, I just heard this nugget from Sean Brady's interview. I love Sean Brady, by the way. I think he's such a stand-up guy. And obviously he sounds like Eddie Alvarez, both from Philly. So it kind of reminds me of like a new Eddie Alvarez. But he talked about, he's like, all the mental stuff that was going on, the doubts, the different things that you can't control. And once again, a reminder, he's like, I just had to remind myself, I just got to get up and do my thing and work as hard as I can and do my best each and every day. I remember I heard that similar sentiment from John Jones when he said his entire slogan for the last fight he won was win today. And I put that up on my wall. So always getting inspiration from you guys. Amazing. Anyways, okay, let's talk about the fights. And I know, tell us just everybody what you were doing this weekend because you were commentating. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm one of the commentators, the lead commentator for Fusion Fight League. It's a regional show based mostly in Montana. We do travel to South Dakota a little bit as well, and Idaho. It's a great promotion, guys. We have a bunch of up-and-comers coming in on it. That's where Sean O'Malley started his career. There's a big one of Sean's guys is out there. Tim Welch is coming through. We have Joe Diesel Riggs. His gym's out there. Joe's fought for Fusion. It's a great show, and hopefully we'll be able to get you on there relatively soon too, Huzefa.
I'd love to. Okay, so let's talk about the fights. We're kind of starting at the top, and we're going to work our way down. The first fight we're going to talk about is obviously Tsarukyan versus Beneil. This is one we both kind of called for Beneil, but man, first round finish. Now, did you get a chance to watch the replay of the finish?
I saw the finish. Yeah, it was nasty.
Okay. Tell me if I'm wrong. That to me looked like a Superman punch, but nobody's calling it a Superman punch. I must have it wrong. But what would you call that move? Like he threw the knee, but he didn't obviously connect with the knee, and then he followed up with a shot. Like, what would you call it?
Just a follow-up, honestly, he's just going to come through. I mean, if he was setting up a Superman punch, a lot of times in a Superman punch, both feet will come up off the ground. So you get that good turn motion. But I think he just was trying to set up the knee, realized it wasn't there, and just planted him with the right cross.
I mean, what is
a great draw? Because, a lot of times when you're in your stance, you see that knee coming. So you drop your hand to scoop the knee or to block the knee, exposing, to get cracked. So it was a great setup and it was a great knockout. I'm really impressed with him. That's really the first time I've seen him compete. And I'm a big Beneil fan. And I mean, Beneil's getting old, man. It is what it is. So hey, hats off to him. And hopefully, he's already calling out the champ. I think he did fight. I think he fought the champ. If I'm not mistaken.
He lost to him, but he lost to him when he was like 23 or 22. No, it was like a total, he's 27 now. Totally different fighter. I mean, man, that seems crazy. It does seem like a potential answer for Islam, which is wild. I didn't even think there was anybody that could really be a strong competitor against him, but he did so well back in the day. I don't know.
Yeah.
But before we talk about, I want to talk about Tsarukyan and what's next for him. He's got a bright future and he's pretty open-minded. He wants the champ, but he's still taking another fight. I want to talk about Beneil because this is the other thing about the sport that trips me out. Like, you say Beneil's getting up there. He's still only 34. Not that old. He's younger than Chandler. He's younger than a lot of these guys. And, this is the part about the sport that I don't fully get. I still don't understand. And I'd love to get your insights on this. Is like, you have a couple losses. Like, we all lose in life. Like, we all have wins and losses all the time. Now, and we were just talking 2 fights ago that Beneil should challenge for the championship. And now I'm not talking about you, but I'm talking about like other journalists and stuff are like, hey, this might be it for Beneil. Like, he's on the downside. And I'm like, it doesn't make any sense to me. But from a fighter's perspective, like, yeah, what do you have to say about this sentiment? Because I think it's bananas, but maybe there's more to it than I know. Like, what do you think?
I mean, we'll keep this in mind, dude. Beneil's been in wars. He's been around the block. You know, I mean, he's went against some of the best guys in the world. In MMA, when you win a fight, it's one step forward. You win 2 fights, 2 steps forward. You lose a fight, 3 steps back. Now, for him to get back into title contention, he's going to have to face another top 5 guy, another tough dude. He's going to have to put on a full fight camp, go injury-free for his fight camp. He's going to have to, you know, make weight, perform, and win at least 2, you know, good opponents, top 10, maybe even top 5, to even talk about getting a title shot. And that's a lot of work, bro. It's not like he can just walk into the gym and be like, all right, I'm going to fight a top 5 guy. We're going to beat him. We'll move on. I'll beat another top 5 guy, and now we can be back in contention. This is going to take time. This could take a year. This could take, 18 months. You know, and that's saying everything goes perfect. No injuries. Do you know how hard it is to mentally prepare yourself for an 8-week camp, regardless if you're fighting a top 10, top 5, and he's going to be fighting a top 10 guy minimum. You know, I mean, that's just a lot of work to do, man. And your body's going to have to hold up, and you have to, again, you got to go through the whole fight camp. You get uninjured. You got to make weight. You know, if you miss weight, you know, you're going to get slapped around there too. So, I mean, there's just so much that goes behind trying to, you know, again, you win a fight, you're 1 step forward. You lose a fight, you're 3 steps back. So, I mean, it's just a lot of mental work. It's not like, again, he's just going to wake up tomorrow and be like, all right, give me my next fight. Like he has a lot to think about right now, and he has to take care of his brain too.
Who would you match him against next?
I don't know, man. It's, you know, I'm trying to think who he'd be a good, you know, matchup against. I'd love to see, you know, Jakar Klaus and him rematch again. You know, Michigan, me and Jakar actually competed against each other in the high school state finals. When I got to the UFC, I always wanted to fight him just to try and get that loss back. But, you know, Jakar Klaus lost to him early on. Beneil knocked him out. It was a slobber knocker of a fight. Jakar just won his fight, which is going to push him forward. A rematch between those guys would be great. Again, just to, you know, give Jakar a chance at getting that fight back, especially after coming his slam loss over the weekend. But, dude, I mean, really anybody. He's a great, well-rounded fighter. I mean, he's gonna have to get someone that's on their way up. You know, I don't think they're gonna give him somebody that lost, and then you're just gonna see, because again, he's 34 years old. At MMA years, he's not done, obviously, but he is getting up there. And again, how many fight camps does this guy have left?
It's so crazy to me. It's like how fast it turns. I think that's the part that I'm still trying to get my mind around, because in my mind, he's still top contender, was right there at the championship fight, lost to Oliveira. Fine. This losses might be a little bit different, but yeah, I just looked up what the record for Jakar Klaus. So he's had 3 wins in a row since he last lost to Beneil Dariush. Okay. What about somebody like what about Bobby Green, or you think that's not the right type of fight?
You know, I mean, it depends. If they want Beneil to get a win, if the UFC's like, all right, we want to get him back on track, I think that's a great matchup. Bobby's an incredible striker, but I think Beneil's wrestling and his grappling would really take over in that fight. I think that'd be a great match. But again, it really just depends on what the UFC wants to do, because whether fans want to believe it or not, or whether people want to believe it or not, the UFC has an agenda. They have people that they want to win. They have people that they think, well, if this guy, does Beneil have that kind of star power? Does Beneil have that? All right, we want this guy to win. His herd or his following is gonna, sell tickets. His following is going to get views. Is it though? I'm a big Beneil fan, and dude, the guy's the nicest guy. He was at my last fight in LA. I don't know if you saw him there. He was in the back. Him and I were chatting it up in the back because we trained at the UFC PI together, and I love the guy. So this is not throwing shade at him. But to the common MMA fan, how many common MMA fans are his fan? You know what I mean? As a common MMA fan, you'd want to see Bobby Green because he's talking shit. He's talking shit during the fights. He just got, finished, obviously, and so did Beneil. So that might be not a bad fight to match up. But that'd be a matchup that I think the UFC makes if they want Beneil to win.
Fair enough. Okay. Let's now turn our attention to Tsarukyan. I mean, holy smokes. Like, from the flip side, what an insane performance. First round finish. I think he got into beef with Bobby Green because Bobby Green called him a boring fighter, which that was so not boring. That was so amazing. What do you think's next for him? I mean, do you think this warrants a straight title shot? Yeah, what do you think?
Well, I mean, there's just so many people in line right now for the title. And that's the thing. And this guy, yes, he had an incredible performance. And the thing that he has going for him more than everybody else is he's a fresh face in the division. He has some fights, but he's not, Mike Chandler. Everybody knows Mike Chandler. Everybody knows Charles Oliveira. Everybody knows the champ. This is a newer guy coming up through the rankings. I think what his next move is, he's going to have to fight, a Mike Chandler. He's going to have to fight a Charles Oliveira. He's going to have to fight somebody that has fought for a title before, maybe a former champ, and really prove himself on that aspect. I don't think it directs him right to a title shot because, again, Beneil never was the champ. Beneil never got a title shot. I don't think he did.
No, he didn't.
I think that he needs to take on either former champ or somebody like, again, Mike Chandler. Well, Mike Chandler, former champ. No, Mike Chandler isn't a former champ. He's a Bellator champ.
But he fought for the belt. He fought for the belt at least.
Yeah, he fought for the belt. Yeah, somebody like that, somebody that's fought for the belt or a former champ. I think that's what's next for him.
And what do you think? Like another possibility, maybe like a Dustin Poirier. But from Dustin's perspective, do you think Dustin would ever take that fight, or probably not?
I think Dustin right now is I don't know, man. I don't think so in the sense of it's a lose-lose for him, and that's unfortunate about the division right now. A lot of guys are going to turn away from this fight because it's a super, super tough dude. But what's the upside? They lose to this up-and-coming guy, and he's super tough. Obviously, he just showed it this past weekend. They lose to him, the chance of them ever getting a title shot again it's going to be slim.
Yeah, man. Okay, well, Tsarukyan did say he wants a title, but he's open to other fights. So I guess we'll see what happens and how he gets matched up. But yeah, I see him going on a rocket ship straight to the top. Okay, now we're getting to the fight that I think a lot of people want us to talk about. Bobby Green versus Jalen Turner. And we want to talk about it for a number of reasons. I want to start, what the heck was that? I want to start by giving props to Jalen Turner. What a fight, what a finish, short notice, horrible weight cut. You saw he had to make weight had to get weighed twice. Insane. He was a pound over, then he made it at 156. What do you think this means, or what does this do for Jalen Turner going forward? He was so happy in the post-fight press conference, by the way. It was so cool. What do you see next for him?
It's funny because you brought that up early on, about the weight cut, that he's missed weight before. So when I saw him step on the scale, I was like, all right, well, he's probably not going to make weight. But he came back and to persevere through that last pound. MMA fans, not 99% MMA fans don't understand, when guys miss weight by a half a pound or a pound, they're like, oh, well, why didn't they just lose the other half pound? Or why did they just lose the pound? That's ignorant. And for him to be a pound over, go back, and lose that pound, come back and do what he did to Bobby Green is just incredible. There's been times where I'm in the tub, I got 0.2 to go and I'm breaking. It's like, I'm done. I don't give a fuck if I'm 0.2 over. Like, I'm fucking done. And again, for him to go back, make weight, come back, step on the scale, rehydrate up, take on Bobby Green on short notice, do what he did to Bobby Green. This guy's something special, and he just put the division on notice.
It was so cool. I love striking, and his striking was just epic. Apparently, he's 6'3". He's got like the craziest range of all time. But his striking looks so good. Yeah, it was such a great finish. And I thought Bobby Green did his best. Okay, I want to talk about the controversial part now. I know, try not to take too much shine off Jalen Turner's win. Obviously, it wasn't his fault. We talked a little bit with Jesse on Fire. Everybody was outraged, especially like Ariel Helwani was so livid, upset. The whole crew from SBN Live, they had a whole post-fight show. They went off on the ref, like completely went off on him, lambasting him, saying he should be fired, this and that. MMA Guru, pretty much everybody was jumping on the bandwagon and just saying the worst about this guy. You had a really interesting perspective that was a fighter perspective, a little bit different. What are your thoughts about that late stoppage? Very late stoppage, obviously, but what were your thoughts?
I'm going to keep it simple, and you might not like the answer, but I'm going to keep it simple. Did Bobby Green complain about it? Then everybody else needs to shut the fuck up. All these journalists out here, and this is not shot at Jesse or anything. You're not in there. You're not putting your life on the line. Bobby Green was. Did he feel it was a late stoppage? Did he wish it was stopped earlier? He didn't. And if he did, okay, now there's concern. But all the fans need to shut the fuck up. He knows he's putting his life on the line. This is a paycheck for him. In my opinion, would you have rather have him fall down and the referee jump in and stop it then? Like, here's the thing. MMA fans are fucking stupid. And here's why. Everybody has an opinion about, oh, well, that was late. Does Bobby care? No, he didn't care. So everyone needs to shut the fuck up. Yes. Was it a late stoppage? I thought it was a little late. Sure. But if that was, I would rather I mean, if you were at my last fight, I got stopped early.
Exactly. I would have
rather been on my belly, fucking flat, unconscious, eat 10 more shots in the fucking dome than ever get stopped by Chris Lieben. Fucking however it was stopped for me. So everyone's going nuts. It's like everyone needs to shut the fuck up until you get in there and you're putting your life on line. This isn't an amateur fight. This isn't a regional fight for $1,000. I mean, Bobby Green's probably minimum getting 60 and 60. So, I mean, yes, was he finished with the referee? I mean, yeah, it was a little late. But again, the journalists need to shut up, because until Bobby Green says there was, that he felt it was late, that's the only opinion that matters, is the fighter's opinion. Nobody else, the fans' opinion don't matter. My opinion doesn't matter. Your opinion doesn't matter. Jesse, it doesn't matter. And to say that, oh, this guy needs to be fired. Oh, he needs to lose his job because he made a mistake. Now, if Bobby Green was like, this motherfucker, he almost got me killed and he needs to lose it out. Okay, now we can back it. But guess what? Bobby Green hasn't thrown any shade at the ref, and any fighter in that position won't. And not because, they're afraid of looking like a pussy. It's because we know what we signed up for. Mm-hmm. We're getting punched. We're getting kneed. We're getting elbowed. Like I mean, there isn't a fighter out there, I mean, that would want to be stopped early. I mean, choose your poison. If he stops it right when he falls down, everyone's going to throw a fit. Oh, he stopped it too early. Oh, well, now he let him eat, 10 more shots. And again, I thought it was a little late. But again, my opinion doesn't matter, and the fighter's opinion is really the one that only that matters.
You bring up that point about like one mistake and everybody wants to fire him. And I've thought that too, right? It's like, it is a mistake that stands out, and people, I think, were a little bit horrified just to see him keep getting hit when he looked like he was completely out. And that really turned a lot of people's stomachs. But I thought about that too. It's like, you have one egregious mistake. And granted, you make a good point about the fighter, but I'm like, is that a fireable offense? Granted, it's very visible mess up, but if he refed all these fights up till now in a very good fashion, stuff like that, and even Dana White kind of had his back. He's like, look, he came through, he acknowledged he made a mistake. That's to me how I kind of first thought about it. I'm like, man, okay, yeah, it's on a big stage, you make a big mistake, but come on, fire the guy just like that. Let's do a little bit more thorough review. So really, really interesting perspective. Glad we got to hear.
Well, yeah, just one more second on this too. Yeah. Again, on a short notice, you heard Dana White say, "Hey, the guy admits he made a mistake." That's a fucking man to me. Mm-hmm. A man can admit when he made a mistake. Mm-hmm. My hearing this weekend with Chris Lieben is this weekend. Who doesn't think he made a mistake? Chris Lieben. He did make a mistake. It's blatant. It's obvious. But he is afraid to admit he made a mistake because he's worried about the repercussions. This guy made a mistake. He's like, you know what? After rewatching it, I'm really sorry, man. I made a mistake. And you know what? And if more refs and more people, not even just in MMA, not just in football, not just in hockey, if people in general just admit when they made mistakes, this world would be a lot better place.
So true. Okay, well, let's see what happens. What do you see next now after this loss? And like almost in a weird way, I think Bobby Green's getting a lot of positive attention as a result. What do you see next for Bobby Green? Do you feel like that Paddy Pimblett fight that was thrown out could still be in play? Or you think Jalen Turner is going to swoop in and take that? What do you think?
I think the winner, if Paddy wins his fight, I think Paddy and Jalin would be a great matchup for the event. I think Jalin starches him. But again, we can't overlook Tony Ferguson, man. I'm still rooting for Tony. I know he's a big underdog in this fight, but dude, he's a dog, man. And if Tony Ferguson shows up, Paddy Pimblett's going to be in for a long night. So let's not just get ahead of ourselves with Jalin versus Paddy. It could be Jalin versus Ferguson, which who knows how that goes.
Right.
But
that's true.
As for Bobby Green, I think that'd be a great scheduled matchup. Is the winner of Tony Ferguson and Paddy fights Jalin, and the loser fights Bobby Green. I think that'd be a great right away. Like, we can make this happen. The two losers face each other to two, and then whoever loses two in a row. All right. Well, now I think their job, especially Bobby, because he's Bobby is an incredible fighter. I fought on a lot of cards. I think he has an incredible personality, but he's becoming a gatekeeper right now. He's getting older, and so they need to keep him in there, to keep going. So if Paddy loses to Tony, Bobby and Paddy's a great matchup for Paddy, because again, if he can't beat Bobby Green, he's not going to beat anybody.
Right.
And Bobby's still tough, so it's not like it's going to be a walk in the park, and Bobby's going to be talking shit. So I really like if Tony wins this fight, I'd love to see Bobby Green and Paddy run it.
Wow, that'd actually be crazy. And then Tony versus Jalen Turner, that'd be really interesting. Yeah, let's see what happens. You're right. I have kind of in my mind for some reason sort of projected Patty's just going to win. But obviously, you're right. That's totally not true, and we don't know what's going to happen. So amazing. Okay, let's move on to our next fight. Really, I want to talk about Sean Brady in particular, but he pulled out an amazing submission against Kevin Gastelum, and yeah, I want to get your thoughts. And one thing I want to ask first, okay, tell me if you agree or disagree with this. Again, this is what Jed Meshew was talking about on SBN Fighting on Saturday night after the fight. He was saying that he was like, look, it's a nice win, but Kelvin was never that good. He's just not that great of a fighter. This and that. I don't know. I don't agree with that. I know he fought a guy from your what's his name? Tweety fight. He fought your boy Chris Curtis. He had a great fight against Izzy. He's tough. He's durable. What are your thoughts on that commentary from Jed Meshew, or do you think it's just nonsense?
He's a fucking idiot, dude. To say that Kevin Gastelum sucks at fighting, like, who the fuck is this guy, and what has he ever done in his life? Like, is he fucking retarded? Like, we're talking about Izzy, Adesanya, like. That some people say he's the greatest of all time, and Kevin Gastelum he lost, but he fucking took the fight to him. Like, what?
Yeah, I don't. It was weird. It was weird. That's why I've been waiting to ask you that, because he said it, and normally I like Jed Meshew's commentary. I feel like it's pretty on point. But anyways, yeah. So there you go.
I don't like that, man. You got these guys that have never been in the ring before, and they're gonna say not just a good fighter, not even a great fighter. I'm talking about an incredible fighter, an incredible person. This guy went down to 170, back to 170. He's had a hard time making weight, and unfortunately, it just didn't go his way. Maybe he had a bad weight cut.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Sean Brady. He's 16-1. His one loss is to somebody that people are talking is the best welterweight of all, or not the. I'm sorry, not of all time, but one of the best welterweights in the division right now that hasn't got a title shot. Like, what? Like, that's just one loss, and he comes and beats Kevin Gastelum, who has fought for the title up a weight class before, took it to what some people call the greatest 85er of all time. I don't agree with it, but some people do. And man, some of these guys, I'm so glad that we have our podcast, because some of these guys that have never done anything in MMA before, they just watch it on TV, to say that this guy fucking sucks. Like, shut your fucking mouth. They don't even know what that guy had to go. And he's been around forever, dude. He's a seasoned vet. He's fought everybody, and it's just absurd to say that he's a bad fighter.
He's on the younger side for being a vet too. By the way, so I want to go back to talking about Sean Brady's mentality for the Belal Muhammad fight, because he talked about it. Now, this is so crazy to me. We look at fighters and skill sets and, all these different things, and we try and make predictions beforehand, but there's so much that goes into it, right? The weight cut. Is it a bad weight cut? There's a mental side. Where are you at mentally? Where's your confidence level? He talked about that Belal fight, because I think a lot of people thought he was going to beat Belal. And he talked about the entire week leading up to that fight. He was having nightmares that he was going to lose the fight. And he said he wasn't feeling confident at all. And he feels like, he said this in the interview today, the reason why he lost that fight is because he never was able to get his confidence up. Nobody knew, right? How could we tell from the outside looking in? You try and glean confidence a little bit. But wow, like how, when you're fighting and when you're preparing for a fight, like, people probably have no idea, but how important is that, just like mental confidence level? And have you ever experienced something like that, where you're getting nightmares the week before that you're going to lose, and it has affected you?
Not only have I experienced it, not only has Sean Brady experienced it, every fighter experienced it. I was talking to a guy that I look up to. He's one of the top fighters in Bellator right now. I trained with him this morning. That's why you can see my glisten. I haven't showered yet. But Maz Burnell, one of the baddest guys in the gym, one of the baddest guys I've ever trained with, ever. And he says he is terrified before every single fight, because you never know what's going to happen in the fight. You could break your bones, you could get knocked unconscious, you could get choked unconscious, you could get cut, you could break your face. Like, there's no any fighter that says they're not nervous before the fight, even going against a bum fighter, a bad fighter. Like, it just takes one punch to end your career, and it's the mental game. Like, when I was in the UFC, like, I had a mental coach, and I'd have to go and do mental exercises with him and do it I'd meet him once a week, but I have exercise I have to do every week, because the mental game to me is the hardest part. Physical, all you do is show up at the gym, train. How much easier is that? You don't have to do anything else. Show up, your coaches are going to tell you what to do. The physical part's easy. But when you're sitting in bed wondering, what if I lose? What if I win? What if I break my arm? What if I blow my knee out? Like, these are all the things that are going through fighters' heads weeks and months and days before they fight, or even moments before they fight. So that to me, the mental aspect of MMA is the hardest aspect of everything.
You know that I've heard other coaches talk about that as well, and I know like they'd always say Khabib was mentally the toughest, even though maybe you could say different things about his skill set versus Islam, but mentally he was unbreakable. You know, actually, it should be MMA fighters that after maybe you stop training or stop competing, you guys should be the ones that are mental coaches. Think about it: who's been through more trials and tribulations mentally than an MMA fighter? So just food for thought, but.
Well,
Sean,
check this out. Check this out too, real quick, just to add on to what you're saying about the mental aspect. You know, like where I've had an issue, the problem with MMA fighters, I feel, becoming mental coaches is we go through so many trials and tribulations of mental warfare. And this is a personal thing for me. It's like, and I've ruined a lot of relationships because of this. Because the things that I think that are hard for me are. Oh, are you there?
Yeah. All right, we're back. Right. I was like on the edge of my seat. All right, the things that are
so yeah,
hard
the things that are hard for me, like, you know, cutting weight, getting in fights, and like that's those are my mental monsters. And so, like, in past relationships, my girlfriend will expect me what her mental monsters are, and it's like they don't. It's so minimal that it's like, how are you even bothered by that? Why is that even a thing? And she's like, oh, you know, it's well, this is what bothers me, and just because it wouldn't bother you doesn't mean it wouldn't bother me. So actually, you know, unfortunately, like that's one of my biggest downfalls. When I hear about other people's problems and I compare them to mine, it's like those aren't fucking problems. Like, I'd be the worst mental coach ever because they come in and tell me their problems. I'd be like, that's not a fucking problem. Pay me my money and get the fuck out of here. Like,
yeah, but when I was having the puppy blues, you were a huge help. Even though that
no, I know I wouldn't do. Obviously, I wouldn't do that. Obviously, I wouldn't say get the fuck out of here. That's not a problem because, but to what you're saying, when you called me and you were talking about your dog, you know, I don't see. And again, I'm not downplaying how you feel because I don't see a problem. I've always had dogs around me, so when you're expressing these problems, but here's something I've taken in, I've done mentally for me. It's, although I don't see that as a problem because I'm used to dogs and shit.
Yeah.
It's a problem for you. And I need to adjust my thought process to accommodate, all right, this is a problem for him. What can we do? And that's, I've ruined a lot of relationships, especially female relationships, because it's like, that's not a fucking problem. And I'm getting better about it.
Well, you were a huge help to me. For people who don't know what we're talking about, I just got a puppy a month ago, or almost 6 weeks ago now, actually, and I was having the puppy blues, just kind of dealing with that whole ordeal of raising a puppy. Like I'm envisioning a dog that's mature and that's, you know, that I was familiar with growing up and stuff like that. Anyways, that was the whole thing. So me and Justin, we talked about that for a bit, and he coached me through it. I'm feeling way better now, way more comfortable with the dog, with Cosmo. He's a legend. But anyways, all right. Last thing on Sean Brady. So in the interview today, this was incredible. All right. So what do you think about his next fight again? Because he called him out. He called out Ian Gary for his next fight. Wow.
That I did not know that. This is the first I've heard of that. And guess what? That is the best move Sean Brady ever could have done, ever. And here's why. Because Ian Gary is hot right now. He is in the media. He's in the news. Everybody's talking about him. We've done 3 shows talking about him and his wife. Regardless of his fight, Sean Brady gets to fight the topic. It's not even about the fight. He's fighting the topic. Everyone's talking about this guy because of, you know, personal issues. And that, I mean, that's a great call out for him. I'm 100% sure there was a planned call out. His coaches are like, after we win, like, we have to do this because he's striking while the iron's hot. And that was an incredible move by him, and I hope he gets it because that's smart business right there.
Okay, I'm looking this up right now. So right now, Sean Brady is ranked number 9th, but I'm sure tomorrow that's going to go up. And then Ian Gary obviously undefeated. Wait, hold on, let me see his ranking in the UFC. Oh my God, he's number 10, and he's about to he probably will. Well, I think most people are predicting him to beat Luque. Dude, that's so amazing. And the other amazing thing that Sean Brady said, I mean, you know, there's a little beef there in the sense of, like, he talked about how he you know, why is Ian Gary getting so much hate from different people and whatnot? And he's like, look, he's not doing the right things. He's going in, he's filming knockouts, he's filming himself hurting fighters in the gym, and he's posting it, and he's like, that's supposed to be your family. You should never do that. And why is he, you know, he's doing all this stuff that's just not cool. And so he kind of, you know, he doesn't like that. And I like that Sean Brady's a stand-up guy. He operates by a code. And so I don't know, that creates a little drama. I don't even
think
know.
it's perfect because he's making Ian Gary the heel, and he's going to be the hero, and this is going to have an incredible build-up. As long as Ian Gary pulls out the Luke win, I think Sean Brady is playing. He's playing things so perfect right now because he's taking the guy that's hot. He's telling people, hey, look, he's a fucking piece of shit, and I'm a good guy, and people are going to want the good guy to beat the bad guy, and that's the fight to make after if and when he beats Vincent.
That's going to be incredible. So we'll be tracking that, and let's see what happens. Last thing before we wrap up, BKFC. We got to talk about this. Mike Perry, and speaking of Sean Brady, we've got also from Philly who fought. Oh my God, I'm blanking on his name now. But who also fought Mike Perry? Eddie Alvarez. Sorry, I just totally slipped my mind. But I don't know if you got a chance to see that or see the highlights. It only went 2 rounds. Insane. Like, the beginning of it, everybody was just like, what is like, it was so action-packed. And Alvarez was piecing up Mike Perry, in my opinion, that first round badly. I mean, he just kept tagging him, and he was just so quick. I wasn't expecting that. But, Mike Perry won, and the corner stopped it, which we don't see a lot of that happening.
Broken orbital.
So, I don't know. So, anyways, firstly, did you get to see those highlights, and what did you think of the boxing?
I saw the highlights, and
it's locked. There you go. Sorry.
No worries. I thought the first round, it was close, edge it to Eddie. But here's the thing, Mike Perry. I say it now, and I'll say it forever. Mike Perry is the greatest bare knuckle fighter of all time, and he has fought everybody. He is the greatest bare knuckle fighter of all time. There's nobody even close. He has that dog. He beat UFC champ Eddie Alvarez. He beat Luke Rockhold, UFC champ. He beat he wasn't a UFC champ, but he's a fucking dog. I was supposed to fight him. Julian Lane. He beat, who else does he beat? He's like 5. I don't know what his record is, but he's undefeated. He's finished every fight. I don't know if he finished Lane, but this guy is the perfect candidate for being a bare knuckle fighter. And to me, he's the greatest of all time. I don't think anybody's going to beat Mike Perry unless he just continues to go down this path. I mean, eventually he could lose, but for the next year, I can't see anybody touching this guy. He's too tough. He's too durable, and he's built for this sport. His attitude is built for this sport, man. He's a fucking dog. And fuck, dude. People ask me, would you fight Mike Perry? I better get paid a lot of fucking money, man. And there's not a lot of people that I wouldn't fight. And I wouldn't fight him for free, I'll tell you that, because that mother knocked Luke Rockhold's teeth out, man. He went up a weight class. He's like, all right, fuck it, UFC champ. Like, how many more guys? He's beat 2 UFC champions, man. And he didn't beat him. He fucking finished them.
Yeah.
Come on. Like, what? Who's next for this guy? There's nobody they can put this guy against. They're bringing in guys, bigger guys. I'm not going to say they want Mike to lose, but they're not giving him easy fights. 2 UFC champions back to back. What was Luke Rockhold? 85-pound champ?
Luke Rockhold, I think so. Wait, let me double check here. I'm looking at him right now. By the way, the one we forgot was Michael Venom Page.
Michael Venom Page, dude. Like, are you kidding me? Like, that's all he is known for, is striking in Bellator, clowning guys with his hands down. Fucking clowned Michael Page. Like, crazy. Who's next for Mike Perry? Who can hold a candle to Mike Perry? Nobody. I think Mike Perry finishes everybody he goes with.
Let's talk about it, because he called somebody out today on the MMA Hour. Also listen to that episode as well. What do you think about this? He called out Masvidal. I saw that, and you know what? I don't think Masvidal takes it. I think Masvidal is he's taken some time off. He's been off for, who knows if he's even training right now. I think he's done with MMA, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's an incredible call out for him, because it's such a big name, and Street Jesus, and he was a street fighter before with Kimbo, and I think it's an incredible call out. But let me tell you this. If I was Jorge Masvidal, I'd stay retired, because Mike Perry is coming, and I think, maybe 5 or 10 years ago, Masvidal, would have had that fight. It would have been a good fight, but right now I think Mike Perry just rolls him. I mean, it's a big age difference too. 32 is Mike Perry. Mike Perry's 32 years old, motherfucker. I thought he was like 42. Like, that guy is, but like he's young. He's young, dude. Wow, I didn't realize he's that young, man. The way he looks, the way he carries himself, the way he talks. I wouldn't have thought he's 32. I thought he was at least 35 or 40. But Masvidal, what's Masvidal? He has to be in his 39. Yeah, he's
39.
39. He turns 40 next November. So
Yeah,
that's
I'm telling you, I think it's a great call out, and it's a lesser fighter. I think Masvidal's a lesser fighter than Luke Rockhold and Eddie Alvarez, and he has a huge name. It's a great call out. We're talking about two great business, mergers here. We're talking about Sean Brady making the best Ian Gary call, and Mike Perry calls out Masvidal. I don't think Masvidal answers the bell. I don't think Masvidal steps up to fight Mike Perry. I think he's too smart for that, and he's retired.
Well, I guess we'll have to see. But wow, so many crazy things going on in the world of combat sports. There was, I think, one of the champs at BKFC was calling out Mike Perry during the press conference, wanted to fight him. And Mike Perry is like, dude, you got, and he said to he's like, dude, no offense, you got like 3,000 followers on Instagram, something like that. He's like, I can't, he's like, you're just afraid. He's like, it's not that I'm afraid. He's like, it doesn't make any sense for me to fight you. You got to build your platform up. And I think it makes total sense. I think what he's saying is 100% right. So anyways.
Well, the platform is where they make money. If he's fighting somebody that doesn't have a following, like nobody's going to buy pay-per-views. Nobody's really going to care for the fight. That's why he's fighting UFC champs. That's why he's fighting Masvidal.
Yeah.
You know what would be, hey, take this. Mike Perry's such a fucking gangster. Mm-hmm. What if, hypothetical land, and knowing Mike, or being a fan of Mike Perry, this is not out of the realm. What if Mike Perry went up to 205 and fought Lorenzo? Is it Lorenzo? He fought Joe Riggs. Knocked out Joe Riggs. He mushed a tomato in his face. What's his name? Oh my gosh, I've watched him fight in BKFC a couple times. He's undefeated as well.
Let me see.
He might be a heavyweight.
Let me see. Yeah, Lorenzo the Juggernaut Hunt. Lorenzo Hunt.
Dude, he is the man, dude. And I think that'd be an incredible super fight because Mike Perry and him fight the exact same way. Mike's just a lot smaller than him. But Mike, dude, I could see Mike going up and say, fuck it. I'm going to fucking sling with the biggest, baddest guy in the world. And to me, Lorenzo is, watching him in BKFC, he is just a fucking dog. And I can't imagine anybody putting away Mike Perry. And including, and if there was going to be somebody, it would be Lorenzo. But what a gangster move that would be, like, hey, there's nobody left in these divisions. I'm going to go up 3 weight classes and fight Lorenzo Hunt.
Well, after the first round, I thought Eddie was going to win, and I was actually legitimately sad because I was like, dude, I mean, I love Eddie Alvarez too, but I was like, Mike Perry, this is going to be his career. He's going to be a superstar in BKFC. He's going to bring the organization up. I was like, dude, if he loses, I don't know what's going to happen. Eddie Alvarez.
Did you see the paydays that he made?
No, how much?
It was like his whole career, Mike Perry's whole career in the UFC, he made like $1 million. And then the last 3 fights, he's made like $1.5 million in BKFC.
Oh, each one?
No, I think total. Okay. So his last 3, like $1.5 million. I'm paraphrasing, so my numbers might be a little off, but it was like something like his whole UFC career, he made $1 million, and it was, I can't remember how many fights it was, but it was a significant amount. And then his last 3 BKFC fights, he's made like $1.5 million.
That is crazy. I mean, of course, and then you have to give credit to the UFC because the reason why he's getting paid now for all that is because they build up his profile. But let's see, I'll tell you how many UFC fights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 fights.
I thought it was 15, but I wasn't 100% sure. So, but yeah.
So many. Okay, last thing I want to end on. The other fight that Mike Perry said he's trying to get done is against Darren Till, but I believe Darren Till doesn't want to go bare knuckle, so they want to have some sort of gloves on there. And he said their teams are trying to work it out. What do you think about that fight?
I mean, Darren Till isn't that big of a name. I mean, Luke, we're talking about to go from fighting UFC champs, Luke Rockhold, Eddie Alvarez to Darren Till. I mean, I think Mike rolls him. I'm telling you, I cannot imagine. I can't imagine a universe where Mike Perry loses in bare knuckle.
Yeah, it's so crazy. It's so much fun. And I'm not like the hugest bare knuckle fighting fan in general, but Mike Perry makes me. I mean, I bought the pay-per-view. I mean, there it is. So. All right, guys, we're gonna have to wrap up. We both gotta bounce, but what a fun weekend of fights and what a fun combo. We're gonna chop up that your take on the Bobby Green thing into a short today. I want to post it because I think it's gonna be a really interesting take for everybody else to see. So hopefully other people see that, and that's it, guys. So we'll be back on Friday, same time. And thank you guys so much for joining, and we'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.